have been used to evaluate nutritional values of diet. And these include protein efficiency ratio, biological value, net protein utilization, protein digestibility, corrected amino acid score, and nitrogen balance. Objectives of these studies are: this study was designed to evaluate the protein quality of Bambara rice diet blends, to evaluate the nitrogen content of liver of albino rats fed the diet blends, and also to evaluate the nitrogen content of the kidney of albino rats fed the diet blends. Here are some methods. This study was an animal experimental study. We use results and discussion. Table 1 shows the biological evaluation composition of rats fed the experimental diet. As you can see, we have 7 diets there: BFE1, RBFE2, RBFE3, BTF0, BFE0, BST0, and BZE0. BZE is our control, which is the unfermented Bambara groundnut flour. Then, for the results, the food intake of the rats, we are shown to be at the highest. We are at the highest with the diet, which contains the 70-30 ratio. And you can see from the result there that is 73.80 gram. For the nitrogen intake, the highest was at BFE0, which is 3.58 gram. The fecal nitrogen was highest at the rats, which we are fed the BZE, which is the control. The digested nitrogen was at the highest with the rats, which we are fed the BFE2R, which is the 70-30 ratio. The urinary nitrogen also was highest with the. In conclusion, the results showed the results obtained show that all diets from BFE, which is the Bambara groundnut fermented at 48 hours, had the best nutritive quality values in all the parameters assessed. While BZE, which is the diet containing Bambara groundnut, which was not fermented, had the poorest values. Recommendation. Based on this work, it is established that 48-hour fermentation period was the best period which could be used to improve the nutritional quality of Bambara groundnut and should be applied to other food products for better nutrition. Contribution to knowledge. This study proved that fermentation is a tool to improve the diet and health of individuals, especially children who are still growing. From this study, all the diets containing fermented components had better values. It could be a good tool in the production of infant food. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michael Ame is my name. I want to appreciate you for your presentation, but I think it's just an advice. Your slide is not really visible, most especially the result. If there's anything that should be visible in your presentation, should be your results, so that there should always be a flow. We're not really seeing what you displayed there. I also want to suggest, I think it's better that next time when we want to present, let them submit their presentation on time, so that they will be able to see if the slides are visible or not, and before they will present. It's very, very important, so that there should be a flow. But thank you for your presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Insofo-Laura Direm, and I'm here to make a presentation on sensory properties and proximate composition of biscuits made from wheat and mahogany bean seed composite flour. Mahogany bean seed is an underutilized legume plant which has been said to be very rich in protein and non-soluble polysaccharide. It has also been said that Oko, Obinna, and Ibe 2019 stated that the potentials of this food crop has not been fully utilized or harnessed by nutritionists. This study evaluated the proximate composition and sensory properties of biscuits made from wheat and mahogany bean seed composite flour. Mahogany bean seeds were purchased from Orioba Market, Unudenu local government area of Enugu State. Other ingredients that were used for the study were purchased from Ogige Market in Nsukka local government area of Enugu State. The mahogany bean seed flour was processed using the method as stated by Onyechi, Ibano, Eme, and Osai 2013. The composite flour blends used for the biscuit production were formulated on weight basis of wheat mahogany bean seed ratio 100:0, 90:10, 80:20, 70:30, and 60:40. The recipe described by Sani et al. 2006 was modified and used for the production of the biscuits. 30 judges were used to assess the sensory properties of the biscuits using the 9-point hedonic scale. The products were also subjected to proximate analysis using standard procedures. Data collected was analyzed using the IBM SPSS statistics version 21. Descriptive statistics such as mean and standard deviation were used to present the results. Results and discussion. The table shows the sensory score of the formulated biscuits. Sample MDE is the control that contained 100% wheat flour. Sample SDA contained 90%. The flour, the composite flour used for the production contained 90% wheat flour, 10% mahogany bean seed flour. Sample CME contained 80% wheat flour and 20% mahogany bean seed flour. While sample UME contained 70% wheat flour plus 30% mahogany bean flour, and then sample DME contained 60% wheat flour and 40% mahogany bean seed flour. Okay, thank you. Okay. For the color attributes, the value ranged from 5.13 to 7.76. And sample MDE was significantly different from all the other samples. The findings of this color attribute was similar to Ibabu 2018, who found that using the same flours, they also found with different processing methods, they also found that if you look at the result, you find out that as the amount of the mahogany bean seed is increasing, the acceptability on color basis was reducing. And Ibabule et al. Also found out that. Nwosu 2013 also found that. This find is also similar to Nwosu 2013, who found that using Bambara nuts and wheat flour to produce biscuits, he found out that as the amount of Bambara nut was also increasing, the acceptability on color basis was reducing. Then for the flavor attributes, the values ranged from 5.03 to 7.30. And this was still in line with Iwabu et al. And Nwosu 2013. The values for the taste ranged from 7.20 to 5.00. This was also in line with Iwabu et al. Because they found out that as the amount of Axilla africana was increasing in the biscuit samples, the acceptability for the test also reduced. And they stated that because the biscuits, the more the Axilla, the browner the color, and that was why they said probably this could be the reason why the acceptability reduced. Then on texture basis, we found out that the values ranged from 5.20 to 6.90. It was in line with Iwa. The addition of mahogany bean seed flour, to the wheat flour decreased the acceptability and increased the protein content of the biscuits. If we looked at the table, we found out that as the amount of Absilia africana was increasing, the amount of protein in the biscuits were also increasing, as well as the crude fiber. And the recommendation for this, the recommendation is that more studies aimed at improving the sensory attributes, because if these biscuits are very rich in protein, it shows that it could be used as a tool to combat malnutrition. Therefore, more studies to improve the acceptability of these biscuits so that they will taste better, have a better flavor and a better texture. Mahogany bean seed flour can be used at substitution level of 10% to produce acceptable biscuits, because the biscuits at 10% substitution had a better acceptability level than all the other biscuits. It also increases the protein content of the biscuits. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Choma Doris Nabugu, and I'll be presenting on diet quality of women of reproductive age in Abia State. Optimal diet promotes good health, increases long life, and also reduces the risk of diet-related non-communicable diseases. However, many African diets are known to be monotonous in nature and are largely starchy staples, thus poor in micronutrients, and it could easily pass as poor quality diets. Consequently, the burden of malnutrition in Nigeria is increasing, and inadequate micronutrient intakes amongst women of reproductive age, who are the vulnerable groups, are on the rise. Though the importance of nutritional status in health and productivity among women of reproductive age is a known fact. However, there is a tool by Kim et al. 2003, which further gives us a picture of what the diet quality of those people are, using a new tool called Diet Quality Index International. This tool helps to identify some aspects of diet quality that requires action. So this study was designed to assess diet quality of women of reproductive age. So this was descriptive cross-sectional in design. My study population was women of reproductive age between 15 to 49 years. My minimum sample size was using a prevalence rate of 16.5, according to Sanusi 2010. Amongst the women of reproductive age, their dietary diversity. So I was able to come up with a minimum sample size of 212, which when 10% attrition was added to it, gave us 233, which was approximated to 240. So the sampling procedure, the survey was a five-stage sampling. It involved the five-stage sampling technique, rather. So Abia State was purposely selected, and from the 3 senatorial zones, each local government was selected zones, and one urban ward and one rural ward was selected from each senatorial zones. So at the end of the day, 2 communities came out from each ward. So we got 40 women from each community. So at the end of the day, we were getting 240 respondents from each local government, which gave us 720. So the data we used was, the tool we used was a pre-tested interviewer administered questionnaire with InView 24-hour dietary recall. And at the end of the day, the information gotten from the dietary recall was imputed into a software known as Total Dietary Assessment, which further gave us the picture of the nutrient intake of those individuals before the Diet Quality Index International was used to assess their diet quality. I want to point that according to this tool by Kim et al. 2003, it says that this tool helps to assess like 4 components of dietary diversity, which are variety, adequacy, moderation, overall balance. Variety talks about how diverse your diet is. Adequacy talks about are the women, have they met their nutrient requirement for the day. Moderation talks about the caution, that there are some nutrients or there are some foods we have to apply caution to. And also overall balance also talks about the proportionality of the saturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So from the two, any score that is less than 60 reflects poor dietary. So it was statistically analyzed using XPSS. So now I'm going to illustrate with this. At the end, sorry, I would have given you a picture of something else, but there's no time, so I'll go straight to the point. So from this, you could see that for variety components, remember I said that there are four components of dietary, four components of Diet Quality Index International: variety, adequacy, moderation, and overall balance. So now for variety, there are 20 obtainable scores. So at the end of the day, you see that the mean intake for variety for 707 respondents, sorry, there were 720, but after data cleaning and all that, they reduced to 707. So the mean score was 10.9. And for adequacy, there were 23.7, and for moderation, 27, and overall balance 2. If you look at this chart, you will see that for moderation, you will see that moderation is the one that those women of reproductive age in Abia State are really doing so well. But if you look at the overall balance, which the mean score is 2/10, we see that this is a place that there is a problem. If you also look at closely to adequacy, when you look at the vitamin C, when you look at the fruits group and fiber group, you will see that those women are really doing poorly in these sub-components. But at the end of the day, the diet quality score is 67, which is above 60 and could pass as a good diet quality for those women. So now, from these studies, in China, this tool was adopted in China, and we could see that the diet quality score for those people were 60%, and for United States, they were 59. So those for United States were low, for the Mediterranean were low. So in conclusion, though the Diet Quality Index International, which was 64.38, qualified as high, more than 50% of those respondents did not meet 50% of the recommendations of these components of these Diet Quality Index International, which is the adequacy. This is the fruit. In conclusion, the diet quality was high, but they are lacking in these areas. So recommendation, efforts should be intensified to promote healthy diet and lifestyle among women of reproductive age. However, for people that are doing nutrition education or nutrition advocates, emphasis should be laid on the concept of nutrient adequacy, especially the importance of fruit, fiber, and vitamin C intake. Next. So far, there has not been study on the diet quality of women of reproductive age in Abia State. So this is what the study contributed to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. I'm Anoshike Serial from University of Nigeria, Soccer. I'm here to present a paper on biological value and net protein utilization of formulated diet from processed aerarium and carpio composite flour fed on adult albino rats. Next slide. Before I proceed, the rationale why we choose albino rats is because checking the biological value on nitrogen balance of human being in hospital have proven to be very difficult, and now we have a lot of challenges. Because of this, we are on the regime of improving our diet. And how do we improve our diet? Because we have known that protein sourced from animals are very costly. So we want to produce a cost-effective meal for an average person. So animal protein is very expensive and unaffordable by a large portion of the middle and low socioeconomic component of the population, making the consumption of animal source protein low. Area yam and cowpea are available and relatively affordable and provides a good source of protein to the diet. Now, what we want to know is what is the biological value of this protein. Fermentation and germination are known to improve the protein quality, but limited studies have not established the digestibility and bioavailability of amino acids of processed area yam and cowpea composite flour. Hence, this study, the next slide. Next, this study evaluate the biological value and net protein utilization of formulated diet from processed area yam and cowpea composite flour fed on adult albino rye. We took 3 component parts, which is to estimate the quantity of nitrogen intake in formulated diet intake of adult albino rye, to investigate the digested fecal, urinary, and the retained nitrogen of the formulated diet, to determine the percentage of biological value and net protein utilization of this formulated diet, materials and method. This area yam and composite flour was purchased from a local market in Enugu. Area yam was processed. We have 2 processing methods that we use. 1, germination, and 2, the germination and the fermentation process. Then we now have the composition. So this area yam was purchased, sorted, and then washed. Then germination. Why we do germination? You soak for overnight and then put it in the jute, and it will germinate over 24 hours and 48. So we have the 48 hours germination. That is 1 sow. Then it was sun-dried and milled into flour. Then the next one, we have the germination, then followed by what? Removing of the skin, and then we ferment for 24 hours. That's the combination of germination and the fermentation. Then we sun-dry and also what? And mill. Then this composite flour was used to make a diet by having a composition of the germinated area yam and the cowpea in the ratio of 70% to 30% of their protein value. Then the next formulation was 60 to 40% of their protein energy value. Then this composite diet was used to formulate a diet based using oil, vitamins, and mineral of equal amount in all the 4 diets, and then we use it to feed our albino rats. Then on the albino rat, we procure an albino rat from the veterinary medicine. We have talking about ethical clearance and ethical listening. Yes, ethical approval was gotten from the veterinary medicine of University of Nigeria and Nsukka. Then this albino rat was protected, and we have the weight range of 100 to 200 grams. Then they were weighed and what? Caged. In the cage, we have to randomize it. We randomize it by having them in equal cage. Then this, after the randomization, we fed them on the rat chow ab initio for 4 days for acclimatization. Then this diet, the four component of the diet, we are now fed on each group. On each group of what? 5 rats in each cage. Then we fed them. This study took 21 days, but the nitrogen balance took about 12 days. So we have a Camite reg, which after feeding them on this formulated diet for 5 days, we now put the Camite red in the diet, just to know the effect, the intake of this formulated diet. Then their physics were collected for 12 days and analyzed. Conclusion. The study revealed that the formulated diet contained good quality and the biological protein as judged by the results of the food intake, nitrogen balance, digestibility, percentage biological value, and net protein. Then what does this leave us to do? We are now going to move this into explore it to human study. This has shown us that germination have shown to increase intake, but germination and fermentation have made the biological value of protein to be to equality. So we now want to bring it to the how that improved diet of high biological value can be made through this technology of germination and fermentation, and then through the technique of composition of this our local blend to make a very quality product. So we can use it in human being. Thank you very much.
My name is Olaimi Michael from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. So my question goes to Mr. Chukwuemeka. Now, during his presentation, he said something about animal protein, that they are expensive and unavoidable. So I still need more clarity on it, because I can even easily go to the market and still get crayfish of 15 naira. And another thing is, during his presentation, he talks about plant source of protein. And I think the presentation tells us the limiting amino acids. Even if I'm taking my protein, I want to take my complete protein. And I saw that in plant sources, there could be some limiting amino acids. I think it should be put in consideration. So that's my two questions.
My question goes to Mr. Chukwuemeka, and I have a comment as well. When you're talking about the animal source of protein, not all animal sources of protein are expensive. We have snail in season, we have termites, and we have locally available fishes in the community. What we can do in that regard is that we should advocate in consuming such animal protein because of the availability of the protein there, and it's very, very rich compared to the plant source. Then the other question, when you started your presentation, you're talking about the usage of albino rats. There is no issue in using albino rats for our study. The issue there is that in animal models, not all experimental research requires such animal. So the point is that if I am doing my own animal model and my own research is on that area, that doesn't mean I should go for albino rats. We should do our research in the sense that it's going to be able for us to extrapolate human study. If we are looking into the stability, we should look towards the animal that we can use towards that. If what we're after is the biomaker of a certain nutrient in the body, we should look towards the animal that can give us such facts. With that, we are going to be able to publish some journal in very high impact journals. If we don't, we can be turned down.
My question goes to the last presenter. It's just a simple question. From your presentation, did you take time to study or to know the reason why there was low intake of components B despite the high biological value?
And the last speaker, who is sitting in the second row.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Ogundele from Leeds City University. My question goes to the presenter on the sensory evaluation of the biscuit produced. And I want to refer to the slide on the results where she talked about the high protein content. From the results slide, I could observe that the fourth sample, which was a combination of 60-40, was also high in fiber and some other components aside protein. So she should try and make that biscuit applicable to people that need high fiber diet and also high protein diet.
Thank you very much. So these are the questions that we have, and I think we have only two presenters to respond. The last presenter and you. So Chukwuemeka, you have so many questions. Some of them are comments for you to possibly take note. So let us give her first. You want to answer?
Thank you. My question goes to the lady that presented on diet quality index. Yes, just I don't know if it's special. We are comparing Abia State with United States and UK and the rest of them and China. I don't think that comparison is good because we don't eat the same diet. You should compare them with people that take the same diet so that at least we can know the really effect. Thank you.
So, who are those authors that will respond? I want you to be the last. You are supposed to be two. What's the second person? Second author I have. Very, very good. Yours is just one. You wanted to comment? No, please. I want authors to make response now, please. So please, Chukwuemeka.
Thank you for your questions. That shows that we are really listening. I want to start from the last question I have. Reason. Do I take time to look at the reason why there is a low intake and low intake of this nitrogen? Like I told you, it's a randomized study. You randomize them and feed them ab initio. So they feed at will and whatever. This sample of it, because we have different rats randomized in that group. So they are fed on that reason. Nobody restricted them on anything. So anything that is coming up, we don't have any control over that experiment. That is one. It's a randomized study. So we reported the result like that. To my brother who said that animal protein are not all animal proteins are expensive, and the main mention of snail and the termite. If you come to our locality here in our geographical location, you cannot afford snail. Snail is for the big guys, big people, because a snail that weighs like 20 gram, 20 gram will not be less than 200 naira. Go and ask and look. That's a processed one. And if you want to get a snail that you can eat for a meal, I don't think that an average Nigeria can afford it, looking at the economic situation. And termites are seasonal. Look at termites. We have the one of we have them only during the rainy season. So what happened to those dry season? So we go on a hunger. So that's why this food needs to be looked into. Another one is my brother that also talked about animal food being expensive. I think I have answered the first question with that. But he said that do I took time to look at the limiting amino acid? Yes. You know that in this study we are not going to project everything. This amino acid was analyzed and it was captured in another paper, but this paper is focusing on the nitrogen. So why do we consider that limiting amino acid here? Through our ratio, we have the area yam and we have the cowpea. Cowpea have their metonyl, which is limited in them, and the area yam can compensate that metonyl, which have that metonyl in them. So this gives you a quality protein which can mimic that of a protein. That's why we also have that ratio of 30:70. That's the combination of cereals and legumes that will give you a quality protein. Another one said that not all rats require albino rats. Not all experiments require albino rats. I agree with you. In this study, while you present a rat study, it's good that you give us the characteristics of that rat for the purpose of replication. We know the limitation of this albino of this species of rat. So that's why I mentioned the age of the rats, and I mentioned the weight of the rat, and I also mentioned the species of the rat, so that if you want to replicate it elsewhere, you can do it. And albino rat give you a latitude to explore. We cannot use our Igbo rats because they are very stubborn. They can come harder. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwuemeka. The only person that was a shower with rains of Kasa, which means people understood your presentation very well. Okay, where is it? Is it a way to? Are you responding to one of the comments made to you?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. And even though this is a very tricky one, but I mean, I think one key thing to note here is, unfortunately for us as an organization and as a brand that, you know, we cater for, we put our consumers first. We are being hit by several things affecting our economy today. We all know what the price of the dollar is, and you know, a lot of our raw materials are, you know, are being purchased from being imported, and again, that also affects our costs for manufacturing. And again, a lot of the crisis we're having currently now with the economy and all these other things, and inflation also takes a toll on us. This also makes the cost of our products, cost of our goods to actually go up, and this also affects us, you know, negatively. So because of that, we also need to be careful in terms of how we set the price for our particular product. But one thing we're certain and sure is across different layer of the chain, we have price points that can cater for all our needs. You know, we have several SKUs and at different price points that we can use, and at every point in time, you can buy and cater for your immediate needs. But unfortunately for us, because of the situation we find ourselves in around the country, we are being impacted by the adverse effects of the economy and every other thing. Even COVID-19 too has played an impact on affected us on pricing, and it's not only us, and also competition within the same cocoa beverage space and even in other categories also. But as much as possible, we're very considerate about that, and we wouldn't set the price of our product at a price that we believe it will be harmful to our consumers. But we're mindful of that. Thank you. Like I earlier mentioned, during the course of my speech, I'd said we have been in partnership with the NSM over the years, and we will continue to support and continue to partner with such great body. And if you see, over the couple of weeks, we've been having good series of engagements with the executive arm, and I want to say a very big thank you to the president and also all members of the EXCO. And what we've also done over the period is we have showed and presented to the EXCO our plans as a brand on where we position and how we position ourselves this year and going into the future, and how we feel that the NSM can partner with us as being that body that endorses nutrition, which is what the brand stands for. So I would say going forward, the partnership and support would continue in every area we can leverage on, you know, and also ensuring that we enforce the nutrition message strongly in the minds of consumers, and also ensure that the collaboration and partnership is well known to consumers and also to Nigeria. And so for us, it's going to be a long-lasting partnership, and we will continue to leverage at every front as much as possible.